Link. WhatsApp.
Jangan bisa dulu, sahabat baik, thank you.
Hello, Nana. How are you?
Live.
Bisa apa ni? Okey, terima kasih kerana sudi hadir sekali ke link YouTube yang kedua. Saya daripada DPK minta maaf di atas gangguan teknikal, tapi tak apa, kita ada part 2. Jadi korang boleh betul rehat sebentar lah, minum-minum dulu, makan kuih dulu, okey. Okey, jadi kami nak memang kalau dengar tu, saya pun faham. Jadi Mr. Vincent is doing a good job, okay. Tapi kita kena spot lagi. So tanpa melengahkan masa, kita bagi balik kepada
Okay, Vincent. So we are with you, right? And now we just resume back our sharing session, and the floor is yours.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. Let me set something up. Give me 1 minute.
Sementara menunggu Vincent, kita berbual-bual lah. So, just Vincent, what's your already ya? Okay, sementara menunggu Vincent ready, kita berbual-bual dulu. So, tadi Vincent dah sharekan beberapa sedikit tentang apakah konsep LOL yang kita akan gunakan lah. Basically, it's a fine tuning model. Mana kita akan menggunakan dengan base model lah. GP. General purpose. So, kita akan menggunakan dengan model biasa-biasa lah, foundation model, model lah. I think kalau dalam LOL ni kita akan pakai model lama 3.1 ini gunakan kita lah. Model tu kita gunakan sebagai foundation permulaan lah. Lepas tu kita akan guna pakai data set untuk training lah, sebab fine tuning kita akan guna data set, kita akan gunakan data set untuk train model base tu supaya dia lebih celik, pandai dalam domain-domain yang telah dipaparkan. Tema yang kita akan gunakan letter base akan share. Tema untuk pertandingan LOL POLYCC 2024 seperti idola ke-12. So bila masa kita dah jaminkan training data set tu, kita akan train model tu untuk membolehkan model tu menjawab segala soalan berkaitan dengan event di Politeknik dan College Community di Malaysia. Okay. So bila kita train, model dah cari pandai. Dan model tu dah sedia untuk memasuki pertandingan. Itulah dia punya the point kan, the point. Bila kita dah masuk, then the top 5 atau top 6 lah akan masuk ke finale. Siapa dah tahu apakah ganjaran untuk top 5 top 6 tu? Hadiah kan. Kita akan tunggu ke penghujung taklimat hari ini. So kita umumkan apakah ganjaran yang akan diberikan untuk pemenang-pemenang dan juga finalis untuk pertandingan LOL kali ini. So,
sebelum kita kan pakai link baru kan.
Pakai link baru.
Saya mohon semua penonton untuk share balik apa grup tadi tu. So tadi ada 400, saya nak tengok balik lah 400 tu balik.
Kita wawarkan bagi member-member.
Mr. Lisa nak tengokkan, tapi saya boleh ke saya nak share satu analogi?
Boleh.
Mr. Lisa ada analogi, saya pun ada analogi. Saya analogi minion.
Minion betul kan?
Minion kan, kalau fundamental model, dia minion tu boleh bercakap, boleh tidur, boleh makan, boleh sia-sia kan. Tapi bagaimanakah kalau kita nak train minion, kan ada dalam cerita tu dia jadi macam perisik kan, jadi saintis kan. So macam mana kita nak train tu? So kita kena train minion tu dengan kemahiran tertentu. Maksudnya kita kena bagi dia punya dataset lah. Dataset tu macam satu garis panduan lah, macam mana kita nak jadi agent preset kan. Jadi dia baca dulu semua, masuk dia baca tu kita input macam mana berkumpul, macam mana nak jangan tanpa ada bunyi macam jadi macam ninja tiba-tiba hilang kan. Jadi kita kena train lah dulu. Bila dah train barulah dah fine tune, baru boleh jadi preset. Kalau foundation model tu maksudnya lama tu lah kan. Jadi dia biasa-biasa je boleh menyanyi happy-happy.
Dia lah, dia kelak.
Okay, itu sajalah.
Sorry,
Vincent. So,
Vincent, you good to go?
Yes. Yes, let's go.
Okay, fast
Already.
Kita akan bagikan
Okay.
floor to Rizal untuk meneruskan pembintangan. Okay, Vincent, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Akasha. Thank you, Kwan. Hope everyone have a good break. So now we're going to move on into the hands-on part, which I think is the exciting. I see everyone in your groups with your laptops all ready to go, right? So that's good. Let's get ready to go for that. But before that, let's just talk very briefly on what are we competing on. I mean, Olympics, you got basketball, you got soccer, you got tennis. I mean, we're fine-tuning, we are competing on a certain domain as well, right? So for POLYCC LOL competition, first inaugural 2024, this is the competition domain that we are unveiling, right? So it's going to be on TVET in Polytechnic and Community College domain. So you'll be competing on, your model needs to be an expert in these 5 areas on when it comes to the education policies on POLYCC. For example, what is the difference between Polytechnic and CC in Malaysia? Your model needs to be an expert in being able to call all these differences. Second thing is the TVT policies. Like, for example, what are the strategies, what are the latest one to promote TVT education, what are the challenges, so on and so forth. I'll not list down all the things, but and that's for you to fine-tune your model on, right? And then, of course, when it comes to student activities, what are the kind of ECA activities that's available for TVET students, so on and so forth. TVET Madali. Now, what is interesting is that all the previous LOL that we ran globally is always been on English only. But first time in the world, we are going to have a hybrid, a bilingual competition whereby the questions your model needs to answer on, it not just only needs to be good in English, but also good in Melayu, right? So there'll be Melayu questions that we ask, and then essentially your model need to be able to answer to a good extent and come with Melayu response, right? So the idea is that these are the 5 different kind of domains that your model needs to be trained on. And essentially, how are we going to be gauging how good your model is, right? So when your model is submitted to a leaderboard, your model answer will be compared against these 2 rubrics. Number 1, how comprehensive is your answer? So let's say something like this, right? What is the main difference between Polytechnic? If your answer is short, there's one is A and one is B, and that's it. So that won't get a very, very good score. But if you are able to explain well and able to give side examples, able to explain, able to go into the details, that will give you a higher score. As well as accuracy. So not just comprehensive, but it has to be accurate as well to the latest information as much as possible, right? Now, this is a virtual leaderboard. The finale leaderboard, of course, it has both the comprehensiveness and, of course, the accuracy, but there's also the human subjectiveness, because in the finale, as you saw earlier, it's going to be a physical game show. So there will be judges that will be invited to there'll be actual judges voting, human voting, right, done by the judges, and also spectators voting. So there's 1,500 of us. All of us here, we can take part in voting for the finale. Whether your team get into the finale or doesn't get into the finale, during the game show, everyone can be involved to be part of the voting panel. So it's going to be very exciting, right? So that's the domain. Now, so with that, let's go on into the demo on how to fine-tune a model using AWS Jumpstart and how do you submit the model to a leaderboard. So I'm going to go into eventually later on, you'll be provided a guide. So the guide that will be provided is this. So don't worry, I'll be giving out a bunch of links later on. So you'll be given a guide that looks like this, right? So in a moment's time, this is about a 35 pages guide. It's very, very long, but it's long only because there's a lot of screenshots, just so that you will not miss a single step. But the whole guide is actually only 6 pages. If I were to remove the screenshot, it's only 6 pages. But because I put in the screenshot, so it's easy to follow. So as long as you follow the screenshot in the guide, you will not miss a single step. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So now, but before we go into that, let me just open up a demo. So you'll be given every team. You should know your team name, team number already. Your lecturer should know. All right. So eventually, first you need to go into. We have given you a console, LOL console. So everyone will have access to a group account, right? So once you go inside there, so essentially you want to log in. The first time you log in, everyone will have a common password at the start. But after you log in, so let me just show you. When you first log in, they'll prompt you to enter the password and to reset your password. So do reset a password to something that your team, easy for your team to remember. That's for the first one. And then that will be your password for the rest of the competition, right? So I have for the demo purpose, I already logged into group one. So this is like, so I log into group one already. So as an example, right? So when you go inside there, first thing you want to go into, you want to go into SageMaker. So there's a lot of different kind of services. Once you go into SageMaker, you come to this page, right? So when you come to SageMaker, the first thing is that you'll see that there's a lot of domains. So that you can, then the idea is that you want to go to look for the domain that is in your team. So for example, I'm in group one. So I'll go to domain one, right? So I'll go on to domain one, and then after that, I'll open the studio. So it's under studio. Again, this is all inside the screenshot. You go into SageMaker, and then after that, you come into the studio. There'll be, you go into the, and then open a studio that is forced under your group name, right? So if I open the studio, you bring me in. So you redirect me into the group. Once it opens up, so we just give it a second. So you open. Once it opens up, what you'll see is that you'll be brought into a console that looks a little bit like this, right? So while it's loading, so you'll be brought into this page, which is your SageMaker console page, right? So once you'll be able to see this. So let me just go inside there. Okay, let me just refresh my UI. Okay, while it's loading. Okay, now while it's loading, let me just show you the next thing is that once you go inside here, the next thing that you want to do is that you want to go into click on this thing called Jumpstart. And when you click on Jumpstart, what you want to be able to do is that you want to search for the there'll be a search bar where you can search for the model that they will be using. Just like you heard earlier from Kwan and Akasha, they will be using Llama 3, right? So Llama 3, there's a Llama 3 and Llama 3.1, right? So you'll be using the Llama 3 itself. So I think the model is up already. Okay, so once you go inside there, you can see that I'm in, this is a pop-up, okay, group one, right? So you can ignore all the other things that your access will have no access to any other services. You'll only be able to go into Jumpstart. So you click on Jumpstart. So once you click on Jumpstart, you will then, after that, you'll begin to populate a list of model. But you don't have to go into all of them. But if you want to, you can visit them just for your for some of us who are a bit more savvy. We're using the Llama 3 for this competition, right? So we're using Llama 3 8B. After that, you click on that. So after that, you can see there's a whole bunch of options. It gives you it tells you a little bit about this model. You can read about it if you want to, but the most important thing is to click on the button train. So once you click on the train button, the next thing is that you will see you'll pop up with a menu for you to decide your oven configuration. So this is where you want to enter the training data set. So for the first data set, we'll provide you it's a Pokemon. We give everyone a starting Pokemon to start with. So there's a sample data set that we already provided. It's called sample -MOHE. Don't worry, this will be provided inside your PDF guide as well. So you want to, for your first model, you want to use the sample data set, right? And then which is about 50 rows. Now, the next thing is that you see the hyperparameters. So you click on show more, you can see there's a lot of hyperparameters. Now, the most important thing that you want to pay attention to is your epoch as well as your learning rate. This is what we talked about earlier. Now, if you are a bit more expert, you have a bit more data science background, you can feel free to adjust the other ones. But if not, I will advise that you just focus on epoch and learning rate. And during the course of the competition, if you learn more, you can feel free to adjust the other ones, right? But these two will be the biggest, will affect your model the most, epoch and learning rate. Now, because we are doing fine tuning, we're not doing pre-training, so you want to set the instruction train to true. So this needs to be set to true, and this needs to be set to false. We're not creating a chat model. We are fine tuning an instruction model, right? So we give it the data set, select the true, and then select the false. The next, okay, for training instance, you want to use select the bottom one, G4DN trial start. This one so we select this one for training, all right? This one will have the shortest wait. The other GPUs you might need to wait a while before you get a GPU. But this one has the shortest wait time, right? So we're using G4DN.traffic-start. So after that is done, so basically, let me just recap. I set the training data set, which is just one line. Every team will be given an S3 bucket, which is basically like a Dropbox, like a Google Drive folder, where you can use to drop your training data. I'll show you that later on. But for the sample one, you'll be using this. We set this to be true and instruction tuning to be true, chat tuning to be false. We set the instance to be G4DN, 12x. There's not a lot to begin with. You select the one on the bottom, you'll see that, right? And now the important thing is your training job name. Now there's a lot of training job that your team will be creating. So you want to create a training job that's easy for you to remember, right? So first thing first, you want to start with your team name, right? Team number, team 0. So we have a naming convention. Then followed by your name, like say Vincent. And then after that, I will then give it the name of your model. For example, I'll say demo model. Or you can call it model 1, model 2, or whichever name you want to name it. So this will be the naming convention we'll use, just so that you'll be able to differentiate. Because if you don't put in this in, and your other teammates are creating model, you'll find it hard to know, hey, is this my model or is this your model? It becomes a bit complicated. So by giving your training job a reasonable name, you'll be able to identify what is your model's name, right? Team name followed by the model's name. So once that is done, I click on submit, I click accept. Basically, what's going to happen is that that's it. You realize that up to this point of time, I didn't write a single line of code. I'm just pressing buttons, right? And then basically at this point of time, my model is already in the oven, is ready to be cooked already, right? And this will take for about 10 minutes. So if you look at the other ones, they are already created, even as the organizing team, we are doing the practicing. So I created a few models even like just last night. You can see that if you use a sample model, you only take 572 seconds to train a model, to fine-tune a model. That's about 9.5 minutes. Very, very fast. So you heard about, training a model takes very long. Not true, right? If you do fine-tuning, it can be as short as 10 minutes and you can get a fine-tuned model. Okay, so for your first model, this will be under 10 minutes. But of course, as you begin to train longer, your model, the training time will become longer. It can grow from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 1 hour to 2 hours. And this is where every team is given 30 hours. So it's up to you how you want to share that 30 hours. But basically, we have teams of 3. So each session has 10 hours. But the idea is that sometimes not everyone will use out the full 10 hours, right? So you can share the 10 hours among the 30 hours among yourself. All right. So, but it'll be more than sufficient for the 3 weeks competition. Now, after you got a model that is trained already, for example, let's say this will wait for 10 minutes. We are not going to wait for 10 minutes. This will be it's going to be a while. So let's take the model that I already trained, right, which is model 4. So I'm going to go into the LOL console. So over here, let me just open up the LOL console. I bring this in. So there'll be an LOL console, which is basically tinyurl.com/AWSLOL, right? Later on, this link will be provided. Once you go inside here, you want to sign up. So you can put your username, select username that is up to you, email, password, and OTP will be sent to you as you register for your account, right? Now, if most of the time, this will be sent to your junk mail, right? So because this email address that we're going to send is a new email address. So chances are if you're using like Gmail or Hotmail, it will come out under your junk mail. So check your junk mail if you are using those email addresses, all right? Or even your student email, right? So after you sign up already, you sign in, right? So I sign in. Once you sign in on time, the browser will cache your session. The next thing is that you want to go to your trainer profile. So you can see over here, I have my alias. You can see I already set already. For the organizing team, we are team 0. So team 0, Vincent, right? And then you can choose the avatar. So this is the avatar for your, okay, I'm a bit of a lag, my machine, but there basically different kind of avatar that you can select for your submission, right? Next is that your model management. So once you come here, you will come here to register. How do you register a model? You basically click on register new model. Then over here, you select the model name. The model name can be any model. So for example, I call it, this will be POLYCC demo model, right? Vincent demo model, right? Now, this is whatever I want to name it. But this is the important part, the training job name. So this training job name is the training job that you're given earlier. So you saw earlier that I given this name like team-Vincent-model 4, right? So you want to copy paste the name as it is. You copy the name wrongly, even a single letter is wrong or the case is wrong, your model will not be able to be deployed, right? Because we basically check your training job name when you run the evaluation. So you want to make sure that you copy it exactly as it is. I like to just do this, copy, and then just come over here and just like paste it, right? And make sure there's no white spaces. Now, once that is done, I will click on SageMaker. We are going to have it on Bedrock soon as well, but we're going to be using SageMaker Jumpstart for this competition. I click on Next. I click on Register Model. And then basically my model will appear. So I have a lot of model because of all the previous competition, but I can see my model appearing here. I can also search for the model, POLYCC. The model will appear right here, right? So now, after I register my model, next I'm ready to submit my model to a leaderboard. So I'll click on leaderboard submission. So let me just leave the leaderboard first. The first time when you join the leaderboard, you'll see something like this. This is our leaderboard page because you haven't joined a leaderboard, right? So after you come inside here, you want to click on the join leaderboard button. Now then you want to join the event ID. So for POLYCC, we are under POLYCC-LOL-224. Again, all these IDs will be given to you inside the guide. You don't have to take a screenshot now, right? So once you take this, you click on next. You join the league. Once you join the league, you start to see names inside. Okay, if you're the first one, you see at least my name is inside, right? Now you want to make sure that the first thing is that you join the correct leaderboard, right? So after you join the leaderboard, you want to see that it says Malaysia POLYCC 2024 LOL competition, right? So if you see anything else, that means you probably joined the wrong leaderboard. So you want to make sure that you see this, right? So after you see this already, next, how do you submit the leaderboard? Very easy. You click on submit your model. So you select the model that you have trained. So I have a lot of models that I have trained, right? So because of the competition, so you can see this one, POLYCC demo Vincent that I just created. I can click on this. I can click on next. Click on submit. So once I click on submit, what's going to happen is that the model, you start to see a spinner. The moment you see a spinner, that means that your model is loaded into the queue, and it's going to be generated. So what's going to happen behind the scene is that your model will be submitted into the queue. The queue will pick up a model. You generate out the answer against the exam questions, right? That is black box to you. 50 questions under those 5 topics. After that, you will take those 50 answers from your model and you compare it with a reference model, which is the 70B model, the much bigger model, to see how often your model beats the bigger model, right? It's like you playing against the CPU, right? So for each time your model wins, so that for example, I got 49 questions, right? I win 15 times. So my win rate is 30%. So it appears as like 30%, right? So that is like essentially, and this will take about, okay, ignore the 15 minutes. Normally it takes 30 minutes because now we are using Llama 3.8. Llama 3.8 takes a little bit longer to deploy and generate the answer. So it takes about 25 minutes or so, right? And your model will be out. Once it's out, it will be very obvious. The spinner will stop loading and then you will see that your model will appear here. Now, by the time the competition reaches into okay, let me show you a leaderboard that I already joined previously, right? Let me show you, for example, let's see. Let's say I take the recent one, AI Singapore one. So this one was for AI Singapore, where they have thousands of models, right? So what's going to happen is that over the 3 weeks, there's going to be a lot of submission. You're going to see something like that, tens of pages, where you're going to be wondering, where is my model? So to search for a model, you can look for like Vincent. So that's why your name is important. So if I type Vincent, I can see that, I'm ranked number 108, right? So for example, I look for, let's say if I'm Darren, I can search Darren, or I'm ranked number 4. And that's why I say that your name is important. Do set your name at your trainer profile. And how the way it looks there is that the next question that you ask is that, hey Vincent, what if my newer model perform worse than my new model? I mean my older model, what's going to happen? So we'll show you the 2 main things that you want to be aware of is the best win rate and the last submitted win rate. So when your model is submitted, after it's generated, you see the score appearing over here. Like how many times you win, how many times you draw, how many times was the run, and what was the win rate, right? And the idea is that if your last win rate is better than your best win rate, then we will override your best win rate. So the idea is that you don't have to worry about experimentation. So even if your best win rate is like, say, 80%, and then you submitted a very bad model, it's 20%, we will not override. I repeat, we will not override your best win rate. We only override your win rate if your model performs better, then we will override your best win rate. But nonetheless, we always show you what is your last model result, so you know how are you performing, right? In terms of your last model submission. Okay, so with that in mind, we are good to go. Already all set. Okay, so now let's go into the giving you the access, right? So now let me just bring up back my my here. Okay. So next, what you want to do is that you want to, first thing, every one of you, 1,500 of us, go to tinyurl.com/mohe-lol-guide. So you want to click on that, and then you want to download down the PDF or keep it in your browser, right? So this is the first thing. Now, the second thing is that you want to go into your AWS console. Okay, go to your AWS console. This is where your team leader, which is probably your lecturer, already know what is your group number. So the username for everyone is the same. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, Group 5, all the way to Group 500. So you go into Group 1, and then after that, and then you enter into the your set of password. So except for Group 1, because I use it as a demo account, all the other groups, Group 2 to Group 500, your password is already, you'll be prompted to reset your password during your first login. For Group 1, we'll separately ask you what is the password that you want, because we needed to use one account for demo, right? But so for now, we'll communicate with you separately to help you to reset your password. But for Group 2 to Group 500, you will be prompted to reset your password. Okay? And then, so what you want to do is that after you come here, so make sure that everyone can go inside here first. And what you want to do is that you want to, okay, let me just put this at the side so I can tell you what step you need to do until. So you'll be going through the guide and doing until step, let's see where we go. Step 4, all right? Step 4. Which page is this? Let me open up the other one, right? Yes, let me open up this. So you'll be going until page, yes, page 11, right? So from page 1 all the way down to page 11. Okay, so at page 11 we'll stop, because at page 11 your model is still being trained, so you can't do anything, right? So we'll do from page 1 to page 11, and then after that we'll reconvene. So by the time you reach page 11, you should have your model being trained already. You should have your LOL user profile created, and you should have you basically have set your avatar already if you want to. Okay. We'll break out, and then we'll give everyone 20 minutes, right? And then we reconvene.
Hi team, just to share with you. So I have already given the slide. So untuk link untuk the instruction guide has already been shared in the Teams channel and the WhatsApp channel. So WhatsApp channel dan juga Telegram channel. So link untuk the instruction guide telah di-sharekan, telah dikongsikan dalam the WhatsApp channel and also Telegram channel. So kalian boleh downloadkan lah guide document tu. So like what Vincent mentioned, kalian boleh mulakan dengan the steps nanti page 11. Tapi Akash, kita dah share tak dia punya user team belum lagi?
Team dah. So dia punya kita dah buat dalam Excel. So kita dah share di grup cara pembimbing. So sebab saya tengok pun tadi ada soalan kan, dia kata macam mana kita nak login. So berdasarkan distance terangkan tadi, so kalau nak login kita kena adjust apa tu,
Team nak login lah
group dengan domain kan. Kalau team you group 1, maksudnya domain you
kalau sampai dah domain 1 juga.
Domain 1 lah. So domain tu username.
Ya.
Password dia adalah group.
Ah.
Group nombor tu.
Ah.
Nombor tu. Okay. So tak apa, nanti kita orang kata jangan risaulah kan.
Jangan risau, kita akan bagi panduan lepas tu.
Ya, saya di peringkat dia pilih akan bantulah untuk orang kata bagi mudah lah untuk konsep macam mana kita nak train ni. Jadi kita akan try buat macam tadi saya kata buat reaction video macam
mana
bila Vincent cakap macam ni saya akan terangkan sikit lah.
Boleh.
Naming stuff.
So untuk yang finance a bit confusing kan, a bit complex, tak apa. Tim kami akan cuba membantu tim sekretariat lah, sekretariat komiti akan membantu urus, dia akan try to pemudahkan lah dan dengan contoh penjelasan yang terringkas agar juga membantu untuk memudahkan segala aktiviti dalam LOL ni, sebab memang benda ni benda baru. Lebih lagi JDI ni benda baru kan, so kita kena memang ada sedikit penyesuaian lah dari segi tata cara macam mana kita nak buat ni. So kita akan sokong dan juga akan membantu dan mudahkan segala apa yang diperlukan untuk pasukan-pasukan atau peserta untuk membina lah ataupun latih atau fine tunekan model dengan berguna pakai data set. So ada juga soalan kan training data set macam
mana?
So maybe training data set ada pelbagai kaedah lah, right? A lot of method that you can actually use for the training data set. Misalnya kita akan share lah apa sama ada contoh-contoh yang boleh digunakan. Paling penting tema lah, tema telah dibentangkan oleh Vincent, di mana tema dia adalah segala yang berkaitan dengan TVET. Tak apa kalau kita akan lebih perincikan lah apakah subtopik ataupun subtopik yang berkenaan yang boleh membantulah tim peserta-peserta untuk generate your dataset lah. Just to share with you apakah kaedah engine kat belakang. Sebenarnya tim kami dah sediakan soalan 50 soalan yang berkaitan dengan TVET. So 50 soalan ni akan dalam bahasa Melayu dan juga bahasa Inggeris lah. So apa yang kena dibuat, tapi peserta-peserta tak tahu apa 50 soalan ni dia orang tak tahu apakah soalan yang telah dijadikan oleh dia orang tak tahu. Tapi tema tahu, tema tahu. Tapi 50 soalan tu dia orang tak tahu. Tak ada soalan bocor So 50 soalan ni kita dah janakan. 50 soalan ni the 50 questions will be used to measure lah how tepat manakah LLM yang telah di-fine-tunekan. Okay, so dia punya proses macam ni what we say, you akan generate a foundation model, lepas tu you akan cari, paling penting untuk LOL ni kan adalah mencari dataset, mencari training dataset. So kena cari segala apa tadi, kita akan sharekan, kongsikan slide ni. Kalau kalian nampak kan all the subtopik yang telah tertera dalam slide tu kan. So you cari segala sumber dokumen dataset, you kumpulkan, you formatkan dia dengan JSON. Lepas tu bila you dah ada soalan-soalan tu, you can mudahkan fine tune atau train your model lah, fine tune your model. Dan model you boleh fine tunekan seberapa banyak yang diperlukan. Setiap tim akan ada jumlah masa sebanyak 30 jam untuk setiap tim. Okay, so your team can share lah the 30 hours, ideally 10 hours per team lah, so that setiap peserta akan hands on lah kan. So you can use the total of 30 hours, right, untuk train your model dataset you sehingga mana dia cepat pandai. So you felt okay lah, model ni ada test lah, cantik lah, ataupun you dah train model tu, you rasa okay lah model ni percaya lah kan, aku nak try dulu kan. So you boleh macam what Vincent tadi, you can submit your model into LOL and then you can join the leaderboard. And you hantar to the leaderboard and copy the Vincent. When the model is sent to the leaderboard, this is where the model will answer the 50 questions, is it?
Yes, correct. You will answer the 50 question and then compare against the reference model.
Yes. So maksudnya bila model you yang you rasa terror sangat kan, you nak masuk dah, you nak submit dah, you nak bertanding dah kan. So sebab background tu kita ada satu model yang lebih perkasa lah, the model yang dah ada jawapan tu. Lagi hebat. So jawapan untuk 50 soalan ni kita akan bandingkan dengan jawapan yang diberikan oleh model yang you train. So ketepatan ataupun kesesuaian jawapan yang diberikan akan dibandingkan dengan jawapan yang kita dah jana tu. Dia tengoklah how close lah, sedekat mana jawapan you, sesuai manakah jawapannya, dan markah akan diberikan. berdasarkan jawapan yang telah dijanakan oleh model yang you tak train tadi. So bila dia ada, you ada permakahan. Bila ada permakahan tu, you nampak, oh scoring model ni kurang menarik. Ataupun you dah drop out of top 5, top 6, top 5 tu. Tak dapat masuk grand finale kan, you nak masuk kan. So bila masa tu, then you, I dah out lah. Maybe you nak kejar balik kan. So when you kejar balik, you train lah. You find the addition model, you train model tu, ataupun you play with the hyperparameter. Tadi you mentioned that all the different hyperparameter that you can do, right? So once you train that model, once you train, fine-tune that model using different hyperparameter, that will also improve your model, hopefully, right, to be better function, right? And then you rasa, okay, model ni, I rasa dah lebih baik, then you submit a new model. And this model, you submit to the leaderboard again, and it will do grading. Kalau ada rezeki, tambahan makan lah, right? Your score will be higher, and then that also will improve your ranking in the leaderboard. Okay, and then kita akan carilah leaderboard top 5 or top 6, di mana top 5, top 6 leader akan ditentukan, akan dikenal pasti untuk memasuki pertandingan akhir atau finale di mana
di Dewan Sabah KPT,
di Dewan Sabah
Presiden 5 lah.
Presiden 5 pada hari 23 hari bulan 9, di mana kita akan adakan pertandingan grand finale LOL POLYCC LOL 2024 sempena Idola ke-12. Di finale ni macam game show tau, like what Vincent mention, kalau you nak nampak Vincent Lisija Vincent Lisija, ala-ala nampak YouTube tadi orang panggil Lisija kan. Kalau nak tengok Vincent in person, he'll be there. Ambil autograf pun boleh lah, tapi tak ada orang nak ambil autograf juga, tak sangat. So kita akan dekat grand finale lah. Dan tema grand finale akan diumumkan pada after 5th September. 5 September. So apa akan jadi? Bermula hari ini sampai 3 hari bulan 9 adalah acara saringan, di mana tim-tim kat sini kita ada 500 tim kan, 500 grup, 500 kumpulan akan bertanding dalam acara saringan. So saringan itu kita akan identify based on your top 5, top 6. Adalah fine detail lah. So based on that criteria, kita akan identify the top 5, top 6, di mana kita akan choose lah the top 5, top 6 untuk pertandingan finale grand final di pusingan akhir yang akan diumumkan pada 5 hari bulan 9. Dan 5 hari bulan 9 juga kita akan mengumumkan tema untuk grand finale lah. Kita tak cakap kita boleh bagi, tak payah kita surprise. Tak nak share?
Nak share? Tak apalah, nantilah dulu. Nanti dulu. Kita tengok dulu prestasi apa, sebab kita pada 20 hari bulan, pada minggu depan kita bagi masa seminggu untuk biasakan diri. Yalah, nak login pun saya rasa kena ada learning curve juga lah. So nak login, lepas tu nak tahu apa itu, apa AWS Jumpstart, AWS SageMaker Jumpstart. So dia memang tak ada coding, tapi kita kena faham lah apa hyperparameter. Saya rasa Mr. Vincent pun dah terangkan tadi apa setiap dia punya hyperparameter tu. Tapi kalau katakan kita first time login, rasanya kita just klik je train. Dia akan
semudah tu je.
Semudah je. Tapi nak menang kena explore lagi lah.
Dia macam ni lah, kalau you nak menang, nak start up bertanding, you just klik je lah. Tapi kalau nak minat emas tu kan, menang emas tu, sebab emas tu ada habuan menarik. Nanti kita umumkan apakah habuan menarik menanti anda. So bila masa you dah train kan, pada pendapat Puan lah kan, benda yang paling penting untuk LOL, the most important factor in this competition adalah training data set. But you need to ensure that you have very good quality of your training data set. Banyak tak semestinya baik, banyak tak semestinya sesuai. Quality data amat sesuai. The quality of the training is very important. So adalah tadi soalan-soalan macam mana kita nak do we need to self-solve the training data set tu kan. Memang ada keperluan, tapi kita akan tim urus tim akan sharekan lah sampel dulu. Macam bisa tadi bisa share a sample. Tim urus dia akan sharekan training data set sample juga. Tapi Kalau nak dapat emas tu kena effort sikit lah kan.
Latih lah.
Latih, carilah dataset, merata tempat. Mana tahu ada secret corner ke, ada ada knowledge artikel PDF kan yang dapat.
Ada kena cari apa ya, kena tu dia punya, maksudnya kita kena create soalan dengan
jawapan. Betul.
So saya cerita pasal minion tu kan. Fundamental memang dia biasa-biasa je lah. Tapi kalau kita nak dia lagi jadi agent preset ke, jadi apa sharp shooter yang tembak jauh tu kan, so kita kena train extra. So dia punya, saya rasa lah clue dia dekat Jason tu yang kita template jawapan tu lah. Sebab kalau ikut fundamental model, dia di-train berdasarkan maklumat di internet. Ke saya dah terlebih bagi dah. Dia bagi cikut dah. Dia bagi cikut dah. Tapi kita nak semua merasai lah. Merasai pengalaman. Ini yang kata peluang kita nak belajar. Sebab not just orang kata ChatGPT. Sekarang kita buat apa yang berada di dalam di belakang ChatGPT, iaitu the engine lah, the otak yang kita kenali sebagai large language model, LLM.
So kalau Kuan boleh simpulkan atau ringkaskan, what is your mission kan for this LLM adalah you akan membangunkan LLM yang celik, yang pandai, yang arif tentang segala apa yang berkaitan dengan TVET. Right, TVET dari segi policy, dari segi organisasi, struktur politeknik, struktur college community, aktiviti pelajaran TVET, segala apa yang berkaitan TVET, you akan binakan, you akan fine tune model. So model tu kan adalah model yang hanya satu kat dunia ni saja. Sebab model tu hanya model yang celik, pandai, arif pasal segala apa yang berkaitan dengan TVET. Okay. You tak dapat ChatGPT pun tidak dapat mengalahkan model you. Sebab ChatGPT, like what Kakasha mentioned, dia hanya ditrainkan untuk segala apa yang biasa-biasa kat internet sahaja. Kan, mana tahu ada dokumen ataupun PDF yang tidak ada kat internet. Mana tu dia dapat cari kan from intranet.
Itu macam cheat code lagi tu.
Ya, dah bagi link dah. Cari rujuk kepada pembimbing dan pencara untuk dapatkan maklumat-maklumat jika ada bincang.
Kena plan. Macam mana kita nak
strategize the way you want to find your training data set.
Macam mana kita nak prepare kita punya data set. It's not just simply orang kata upload gitu je. No, it's not like that. Tapi kalau once you find the way, I think okay lah kot, kita boleh dapat goal tu lah.
Sebab benefit untuk, memanglah kita ada orang akan bandingkan di Malaysia tahun lepas dengan LOL kan. Di Malaysia memang, so you ada kereta, you build a model, tapi dari segi di Malaysia tu you kena ada coding kan, you kena do function. Untuk LOL, you don't need to code that much, you just need to ensure training data set you sesuai and complete. And the good thing about this, we raised the bar. We are building the first LLM that is fine-tuned. We are fine-tuning the first LLM that is able to answer dalam bahasa Melayu, right, in terms of TVET information. And the fact that ala-ala kita pun the first kat Malaysia kan, we are the first LOL event competition kat Malaysia, which means this is the first event that train students, participants on how do you fine-tune a generative AI model. Right, so this is I rasa Malaysia tak pernah buat lah, tak ada orang. Biasanya yang banyak competition pun setakat ChatGPT prompt engineering saja. Yang ni lebih daripada tu. You are building a special model like what Vincent just now do, right? You have a Bloom, then you do Bloom GPT, right? And then you, like for example, you have GPT-3, right, or GPT-3.5. Then you actually fine tune that through a lot of chat sessions, right, to become your ChatGPT. Now you are building Llama 3. 8 billion, right? And you're fine-tuning that model to be a model that is TVET. Maybe you can call it TVET model.
TVET model.
TVET
lama. TVET lama. Chatbot.
Chatbot. For all you know, maybe this is something that pihak POLYCC, pihak JPPKK boleh guna pakai model ni untuk FAQ lah. Mana tahu FAQ ni. So we are finishing the 5 minutes soon. So stay in mind. bear in mind with us, we have 3 minutes more. Tunggu hingga penghujung tu kita akan ada pengumuman ganjaran untuk the winners. What are the rewards for the winners, especially finale. Hint tu you orang nak lah masuk at least finale lah. Finale tu memang menarik lah. Lepas tu nak jadi champion tu lagi menarik.
Maksudnya kena share lah kat timestamp ni, kena share. Kalau ambil sekarang ni kan shoot, kalau video kan dia share, mungkin tapi kita tak nak share yang the whole, nanti boring. Tapi kena share yang kat belakang-belakang. Belakang-belakang ni dia penting ni. Dia ada maklumat penting, cheat code. Siapa tak tengok tak tengok cheat code dia tak tahu lah.
Kita dah share banyak hint-hint Okay, sila tak apa. Yang paling penting orang kuat urus nanti Akasha ada kat sini dan dengan sokongan Ashwin, dengan Kuan, dengan Vincent kita dan juga tim kami kat belakang tabir, Abang Shazli, adik Faru dan juga adik Khairi, dan juga kita punya program manager yang akan datang, our program manager Cik Natasha, Puan Natasha akan hadirkan diri pada finale. Dia akan jadi MC. Tak lupa juga yang paling penting, the most important person here is Mr. Vincent. He is the life and the soul of the entire POLYCC LOL competition lah. So we have 2 minutes more. Again, maklumat
tambahan ni, Vincent ni adjunct professor.
Vincent is an adjunct professor. He gives lectures. By the way, sepumas ni Vincent is so dedicated to support our POLYCC. Actually kan pada malam 23 hari bulan dia ada lecture class. So dia akan masih lagi support kita punya event. Dia akan datang, dia akan ensure that POLYCC POLYCC LOL 2024 tersebut tadi akan berjalan dengan lancar, akan diselesaikan dengan lancar, dan dia terpaksalah terbang balik untuk kelas tu. So committed lah, level committed Vincent memang luar biasa. So okay, we have a minute or so. I think we can possibly continue, Vincent. So in the meantime, I think peserta sedang review lah, they are reviewing probably the guide, right? So the things, and memang slide ini akan dikongsikan untuk kalian semua. This slide will be shared with the participants later, and then the participants bolehlah mengirim masa sendiri, take your time to review the document and segala apa maklumat resources yang akan diberikan lah.
Mungkin hari ini memang orang kata too much information, bukan over
information. Memang lebih lagi kuat sembang kopi kan.
So tak apa, kita kumpulkan soalan-soalan pada 20 hari bulan. Nanti kita ada Puan ada lagi,
Ashwin ada lagi, Vincent mungkin akan ada lagi. So kita gembelengkan pakar-pakar sesi klinik. Soalan kan, tak kisah soalan ataupun nak share kan. So sebab kita bagi waktu seminggu untuk try login dulu dalam AWS SageMaker ni, jump start. So kita play around dulu, tekan dulu, tak kisah dia takkan meletup. Dia tak meletup kan. Meletup pun dia dah kita orang.
Maksudnya kita boleh diakses pada bila-bila masa, lepas kelas, malam-malam, pagi-pagi, subuh kan. Macam saya suka bangun subuh kan. Jadi kita 10 subuh tu kita boleh tengok dulu, test a bit lah. So macam timer dah
siap. Okay. So kita akan continue balik. So tadi ada penerangan sikit. So kita continue balik dengan perbincangan dari Vincent. So Vincent, we have just what we have shared earlier is the fundamentals and in a summarized way to the team, and the team will try out the entire document that you have shared, and of course this slide also will be shared to the participants, and the participants will also have try out, and the questions will be posted to the Telegram channel, in which we will also help to answer. And on the 20th later, we will have our own project planning, and we will answer those accordingly. So maybe Vincent, we can continue back with the session, and then moving.
Sounds good. Yep. And then we have 3 weeks. Don't worry. How are they? That is not a one-day competition. We have 3 weeks, so you can continue to do that on your own time. But just on call, there I saw like there's team 387, team 195, team 8, team 179, team 178, team 197, and a bunch of other teams that already created a first model. that's awesome. The rest who haven't yet, no worries. Like what Kwan mentioned, feel free to use the rest of the day to go through them. It's really very quick. You can create a model just as by going through the steps. Normally under 1 hour, you can finish the whole guide, all right? Including with the waiting time in between factored in. Now, let's go in through. Let's continue the rest of the part 2. So again, but maybe before that, I just want to call again. So again, the idea is that you are a Llama 7B, right? So when you submit the model, your model will be competed against the Llama 70B, right? So the idea is that you want to KO the big Llama, right? As a model through your data set training and your hyperparameters. Okay, just some cute photos to put in. Now, back to the let me just sure that I'm in the right place, right? So you have in case you receive you haven't later on, when you create a client LOL console, it might appear under your spam mail. So if you have, so there's something that I want to check apart from inbox. I just want to call it out. Some participants, they experienced that before. So you want to make sure that you can check that. And this is how you can get your OTP. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to go into the next part. So we spoke at length, right? We talk about what is LOL. We talk about what are the different ways that you can fine tune, right? So as we recap, right? We talk about when you want to customize a model, you can do prompt engineering, RAG agents, and fine tuning, right? And then we talk about what is fine tuning. We go into the different terms of fine tuning. We talk about a base model, a training model, data set, evaluation, your training configuration, hyperparameters. Those goes into training the model, right? Now, and then of course now we have hands-on start to train the model. Now the next thing that after you created your first model, the next thing you need to go into is how do you then go on to prepare new tuning data set? Because so far, if you have completed up to page 11, what you have done so far is that you have used the data set that the organizer team has prepared for you, which is just a very, very simple data set of 50 rows. But to win the competition, the sample data set will not going to get you the championship. You need to be able to prepare new data set. So how can you do that? Now, to prepare data set, first thing first is that you just need one file. So just to clear out any scary thoughts that, it sounds like a very, very complicated thing. You need to have a PhD. No, right? To prepare a data set, all you need is just one single file. And in that one single file, there needs to be many, many rows, right? And in each row, basically, they have a JSON file. It's a JSON line, right? And then in each JSON line, basically, you have an instruction and then you go response. So you remember what I shared earlier, the data set format, it just needs to be in the instruction and in a response pairing. So this is one question and this is one answer. So each of these will be one line. That's why we call it the JSON line format. And you might have heard this often if you look at some of if you've been following the generative AI news. Generally, when you do fine tuning, and this format is not just about AWS, whether is it Google, Microsoft, you go to anywhere. Generally, when you do fine tuning, it's typically in this format, JSON line, and then every line is basically a JSON format, right? So how do you then prepare this JSON line file? Now, there's two ways. First, of course, you can do it the hardcore approach. I know that some of us here, you are very, very savvy. So, you are technical. So, of course, you can do the manual approach whereby you can put in crawlers, crawl the website, and then format the data into the format that you want. That is the manual way. And then, of course, you can do it whatever way you want. You can even download data set and then convert it to the format that you want it to be, right? Now, the second format, which is what probably 95% of us will be using, is the syntactic approach, whereby you use a large language model to generate out what we call mock data, syntactic data. And then basically you will generate and then to give you this file over here. So after I'll show you a demo of how to do that, we have prepared a tool for you, a party rock tool that you can use to generate this data set. Now, after you got this data set, but before we go into the tool, the process is basically once you have the file, you give it a name, and then basically you go to AWS console. And within AWS console, you will have under S3. S3 is like the Google Drive, right? So to speak, Google Drive, OneDrive of AWS in a sense, right? Essentially, there's a lot of folders they can put inside. And each team, you are given a folder. So basically, within this folder, you can put in your own name, and then basically you can just drop the file inside. And then after that, once you drop the file inside, you can go back to SageMaker Studio to then create the training job again. Everything else is the same. The only difference is that now instead of pointing to the sample data set, you are now pointing to your own data set. That's the main difference. All right. So with that, let's go into this demo. So we prepared a tool called Party Rock tool. You can basically just use it over here. So over here, if you open up this one, again, this is in the guide, right? So so once you go into Party Rock, you need to create an account. The account is free. So basically, it's a tool for no code app. Let me just open up Party Rock. Okay. While it's loading, let me just open up my Party Rock app as well. So while it's loading, let me just show you what you will see. When you go to S3, you will see that, okay, when you go to AWS S3, you see that there's a lot of buckets. So you can search for group. So you can see there's a lot of group, 101, 102. You can search for group. For example, let's say group 1. You search for group 1, it should appear. Let's say you are group 105. You can search for group 105, then it will appear, right? A group 237, right? You appear. So the best way is to, when you go into S3, and then you just search for the group number on the top, and then your bucket will appear. So for example, I'm from group 1, right? If I try to go into other group, what will happen? You will see that I'll be denied access. So your group can only go into your bucket, and your group can only go to your studio, and you will not be able to do anything else. Basically, it's a lockdown permission. So just to call out that your user access is only limited to just the S3 bucket and also going to the SageMaker studio. All right. So after that, I go into group 1, for example. So over here, you can see that I have Vincent over here. I can come inside here. Basically, now how do I prepare the data set, right? So over here, when you go into the Party Rock generator, you can see that there's this generator. So I can say I want to have TVET policies in Malaysia, right? Then I can say I want to have 10 rows. Then I can say it's in English. So basically, it's just, yeah, I just give it, it's like a app, right? What is the topic I want? What is the role that I want? What is the language? Then you start to generate out. So it comes up with all the information, what challenge does. And it comes out in the format that is required. Instruction, context, and response. Instruction, context, and response. So you copy. So this one over here, what you need to do is that you can do 2 ways. First way is that you can use something like a code editor, but we are not writing code. We're just using it for or JSON editor. I like to use a Visual Studio Code, right? So I can call it new file. I can just paste it in, right? So let me just put it out here. This is supposed to be JSON, right? So you can see that it's already in the format, yeah, that is in that required. So let's say if I want to do this, right? So this is like how I prepare the data set, and this is for 10 rows. So if I want to prepare maybe for more, so I say maybe I want it this time in Melayu, right? So if I change this, I can just press the retry button. It will start to generate out. Let me see. Let me just reset the app again. See that policies in Malaysia, like 10 rows. Okay. Okay, maybe let me look at this again. But so basically what you need to do is that you just need to key in the language, the data role, and the generate. So let's say if I want to change this to, say, for example, I want to change this to what was the thing that we mentioned earlier? There was like the wait, where's my third party one? I think I accidentally closed it. Give me a second. So I can call it TVET strategies in Malaysia. Right. So again, you start to generate. What is the primary objective? TVET strategy, you start to give out so and so forth, all this information. You try to talk about NOSS. I'm not familiar with this. Maybe it's something that the lecturers will be familiar with. National Dual Training System. So again, these are syntactic data, right? Whether is it how factual it is another thing, but this is all syntactic data. So once I got this, I can copy this. I can come back to here. I can basically, just paste it down, right? So basically, this is how I prepare data set. So you can see it's very easy, right? I just add on more and more and more and more. Once you got enough, what you need to do, right, is that you just need to save the file. So I can save it to, I'll just save it into my desktop. and call it like a Vincent train 2, right? Jason 9. So once I save it, you can see I got a file over here. I can go back to my S3 bucket. So this is my Teams bucket. So I got my own folder. I can just simply drag and drop the file inside.
No.
Let me just take this.
Vincent,
Yes.
maybe you just stop sharing of your slide.
Oh.
No. Oh, so they cannot see your slide.
Oh, it's still in the slide. It's still in the slide, is it?
Maybe you can stop and restart sharing again.
Oh shoot. Okay. Sorry, I just be remembering to myself the last 3 minutes. Let me go there again. Can you see my screen this time?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can see.
Okay, so I think maybe it got froze in my slide earlier. So what I'm trying to say is that you can go to Party Rock app, this is the app that we will provide for everyone, right? Which is the Party Rock app. Once you go inside there, you will go into you come into here, which is AWS LOL dataset generator. So to generate a dataset is very simple. You type the topic that you want to generate. You type the row that you want to how many rows you want. For example, I want 5 rows. The language you want, English, Melayu, etc. So after that, you start to generate out the data set. Right. So after you generate out, what you need to do is that you just need to take this and you just need to copy that and paste it to a JSON line file. So to copy the JSON line file, I mean, you can use how to create a JSON line file, right? There's a few ways. The easiest way I find to use Visual Studio Code, any code editor. You're not actually writing code, you're just writing a file, but this gives you a nice format. So you can use this is one option, but I can just paste it in, and then you can see that I got my data set. That's how I can prepare my data set. So let's say I got prepared 5. If I want to add on more, I can simply just go back to the Party Rock CCA information, extra curriculum, student activities. For example, I change to this, right? So if the moment I change that, you can see that the generator will start to generate out the data set. So again, this is synthetic data set. This is the kind of the cheat code way of generating data set, right? So how good it is one thing. How factual it is another thing, right? So this is up to, you need to do a proof, kind of like a proof check before you use it themselves, right? So over here, I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to go inside here, and then I can just paste it in. So basically, this is how you prepare data set, right? You just keep on adding more and more, and just one single line of file. You don't have to exactly type anything. You're just copy and pasting them inside. So basically, we've seen people grow this data set to like thousands of lines to 10,000 of lines. So it's up to you how you want to prepare the data set. But once you prepare the data set already, once you save this file, the idea is that you go into S3. So I'll go back to my AWS S3 over here. So what I wanted to show earlier is that inside your group permission, you will not be, when you go into AWS S3, there's a lot of buckets inside, so it's a bit hard to search. So you can search for group 1 or group 257 or whichever group that you're in. Now your group can only go into the bucket that you are given access to. For example, I'm group 257. If I group 1, if I go into group 257, you can see I'll be denied access. Your IM user can only go into the S3 bucket of your group as well as the student domain. You cannot go in, you won't be able to have access to anything else. All right. So for my team I'm group 1, for the demo. So I'll go into group 1 and you can see that I already created a folder. So to create a folder, you can just click, then I can create a folder. I can call it like Quan, for example, right? Then I can go inside here. So let's say I can come inside here. I can basically just drop the file inside. So I got this file that I just trained earlier. So I can just drop it in. And then I can upload the file into just like how you upload a file to Google Drive. So within your team, you'll be able to share data set with one another. So let's say me and Kwan and Ashwin and Akasha, we are a team. We can share files with one another within the bucket. But you'll not be able to access data outside of your team, right? To be fair, you can only access data from within your team, within each other. So if you want to be innovative, you can think about how you can divide and conquer who to prepare what data set, right? That's one way. So once you got a data set already, basically you can when you go inside the file, you can see that there's this thing called the S3 URL. So basically, you can copy that, and then basically, I go back to the SageMaker Studio. Let's say if I try to create another training job. This time I create Jumpstart. Now if I do the same thing, right? 8B, I click train. Enter training data set. I can just copy and paste the exact file name to my file, to my training file. Remember, to do fine tuning, all you need is just one file. I repeat, you just need one file. You prepare that one file, put that one file into your bucket, and you are ready to go. All you need is one file, right? So to prepare the one file, you can use the party rock, right? To prepare the data set. So I can use that. After that, again, I set this to true, I set this to false. I use G4DN travel start because it's faster. Again, zero, as I just had Quant, for example. Submit the model. That's it. And then you start to create, you start to train the next model. So that's how it is, how quick it is. You prepare the data set, put it into your S3 bucket, come to Studio, train the model. Go back, prepare the data set again, put it into S3, come to Studio, train again. And then after that, submit to a leaderboard. Basically, you just keep doing it again and again and again. And then you see which model can perform the best. And then to win the finalists as for the finale. All right. So this is for the dataset generator. All right. So again, this link is already inside your guide. So if you go into the guide, it's somewhere under, if you search for like all the way at the bottom, if you go to Party Rock, if you search for Party Rock, you can see that there's a guide. If you click on this thing, yeah, you tell you how to open the app, right? And then let's say if you don't know how to use a Visual Studio Code, you can also use an online JSON line editor. You can click on this, right? So this is one way whereby you can copy and paste it here, and then you can save the file into your local disk. This is if you prefer to use an online JSON file editor. If you don't prefer to, I prefer to use this because it's just cleaner. It looks nicer, and it's I can just a lot more easier to prepare data set, and that's what we usually use. But if you don't want to install anything, or you can use the online editor. That works as well. All right. Okay. So back to the slides. Okay, I'm down to my last part, and then we'll go on to the now. So after you prepare your data set, so we went through this part already, which is the how to submit a model to train. I think now we have a lot more people who have submitted a model already. How to prepare your data set. So you've done that also. Now we're going to go into the third part, which is the evaluation. How do you evaluate your model more transparently? Because when you submit the model into the leaderboard, it's a black box, right? You don't know. It's like submitting your model to the exam. You didn't get your score. You don't know which one is correct, which one is wrong. So one way that you can do that is to evaluate your model before you submit the model. Now, so we're going to talk about the last part, is how to evaluate the performance of the model. Again, this is another technique, a very powerful technique that is in the generative AI space. So to evaluate a model, there's 4 ways. One is that you can use heuristic metrics, and then which is now. So when you look at those kind of generative AI model, every time when they launch a new model, for example, Llama 3, Anthropic Claude 3.5, GPT-4, they always tell you they always put a leaderboard, right? And then the leaderboard will tell you what is the score, all those things. So that is a heuristic metrics, whereby they use some form of like an exam paper, for example, O-level paper, A-level paper, American engineer paper, and they use that to compare the answer against the model to see how close the answer is to the actual answer. That is what we mean by heuristic metrics. The second way to evaluate a model is to use AI critique. Which is we use the AI to judge an AI, which is what is happening inside the virtual leaderboard. Third way is of course use actual human like you and me to decide is it good or is it bad. And the last one is the performance benchmarking based on the how fast it is and what is the cost. So for LOL, we will not be touching on the performance evaluation, but you have experience in the first 3. So you can apply heuristic metrics. So this you can later I'll show you how you can do this on your own model through self-evaluation. For AI critique, this will be taking place in the virtual leaderboard because every time you submit a model to a leaderboard, what is exactly happening is that we use a panel of models to judge your model, how good your model is as compared to the reference answer, right? So that is the AI critique. And then the third round, because we are inviting judges, and then there's the popularity voting element, right? Human review. So this is going to take place in the finale. So as part of an LOL program, you actually get to touch practically all the various different techniques of in the industry, how enterprises are using to evaluate a model through the different part of the program. All right. So let's talk a little bit first about each of them, right? Now, most of the benchmarks are based on, you look at a lot of the models. So when you see a new model being announced, there'll be what we call like GPT-4, Llama 3. They will have all these kind of benchmarks against different kind of things. So basically, what they do is that they take, for example, like O-level paper, right? And then they take the model answer and they compare the target model answer against the model answer or the reference answer, and they see how close they are. So based on that, then they give what we call like the automated score. So this score we call heuristic metrics. It's good in a sense because it helps to automate the scoring, but there are some upside and downside. The downside is that, okay, upward side is that, okay, you can train, you can use standard metrics, right? So all these words are a bit complicated, but basically they compare how close two sentences are. For example, I like to eat chicken rice, and I like to eat ayam rice, right? So ayam and chicken, they are quite close. So, but it's not exactly the same. So then they will have a certain percentage, how close it is. So things like rogue, blue orders, they basically compare two sentences and they find how close they are in terms of the meaning, right? Now, and then of course, but the thing is that these automated metrics is that they're based out of something that is like just on exam paper, right? They may not reflect what is the actual human score. So even though here might be say it's good, human may say it's bad, right? So this is one thing. So to give an example, right, just one slide, a deeper view. So for example, I have the model answer is here. This is your model answer. My quick red fox leaped enthusiastically over a lazy dog. And the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Now, these are two different sentences. So what this kind of heuristic metric score they will do is that they'll take these two sentences and they'll break them down into what we call grams. Basically, like the different part of the sentences into like 1 word, 2 word, 3 word. And then they form what we call sequences. Unigram means like 1 word. Bigram means 2 word. And then triogram means 3 word. And then up to n-gram, which is like the sequences. So they join them. Then what they do is that they compare your answer against the reference answer to see how often does the reference answer appear in your answer and how often your answer appear in the reference answer. And from there, they calculate the recall and the precision. And then that's how they give the F1 score. So this is one example, one way to explain when you see all these kind of leaderboard, how do they actually calculate the score? They calculate it through a technique like this. They basically compare your two words and then see how close they are to each other, right? Of course, the one that's closer, the one is better. So to do that, you can actually in SageMaker later on, if you want to apply evaluation on your own model, you can actually do that through SageMaker Clarify. So just now we use SageMaker Jumpstart to tune a model, right? You can use SageMaker Clarify to evaluate your model, again, without any line of code. Basically, you can tune a model without any coding. Or you can evaluate a model without any coding. So you select the model that you want to evaluate, which is, of course, the model that you train, right? And then you select the evaluation task. You provide your evaluation data set, which is that your mock data set. And then from there, you can run the no-code evaluation. So once you do that, what's going to happen is that after about 5 minutes, this is a lot more faster because it's just evaluation. You generate out for you the F1 score of based on your model answer against your evaluation data set. You saw the example earlier, right? You calculate the F1 score between how close the words in terms of meaning. And then from there on, you give you a report for you to, okay, so you got some idea. Or this is how my model is performing. So this is option one to do one way. If you want to do evaluation, this is one way. But I want to say is that to win the competition, you don't have to do evaluation. Evaluation is just an optional way. Just in case you want to dive a bit more detail into how your model is performing, you can do evaluation, but it's not a must to do that. All right. So I just want to call it out. Now, second thing is through AI critique, which is to use AI to judge AI. Now, so the thing is that how does it happen, right? So over here, so this is an example. For example, it says that, this is a question, right? That you are a financial expert model. Your task is to evaluate which model got a better answer. So you see very, very similar to LOL, right? Accuracy, comprehensiveness, and level of details. So what happens is that we will use a panel, think of it like a panel of judges, right? But models. And what we'll do is that we'll take your answer, which is your AI answer, compare it against the reference answer. We put both of them into the prompt. And then you get a panel of LLM, right, to look at the model. And then they decide, okay, For the question A, I like model A more. Second question, I like model B more, then A more, B more, A more, B more. Eventually, at the end of the sequences, you then get out the preference score. So for your virtual leaderboard, this actually behind the scene, this is how it works. Your model score is compared against a much bigger model. And then from there on, based on how many times you win the bigger model, that's how your virtual leaderboard score is being tabulated. All right, this AI critique. Now, the third option is to use human review, which is, in short, the name is a bit buzzy, but basically means we use a person to judge the score, right? An actual human to rank, is the answer good enough or not good enough, right? So there are different ways to do that. Of course, the first way is to manually have someone tick and do it manually, right? But in AWS, you can actually use SageMaker Clarify to actually automate the process. To actually have a human workforce to automate the process to get human reviewed answer. But this is not used during the LL competition. But I just want to call that even for human review, this is a technology that actually is within AWS already. Where behind the scene, we have a human task force that actually does the actual human review. But we will not be using this during the LL competition, right? So finale, right? Now back to finale. And of course for finale, this is what we did during the AI Singapore one. And I think on 23rd September, big finale, it'll be something like that, whereby we have the big grand finale, right? Together with your grand event. And then essentially what's going to happen is that we'll be using Telegram. So in Telegram, what's going to happen is that judges and audience, we'll each have a channel for judges and channel and audience. So for audience will be every single one of us here. And the idea is that during the finale, if you are in the channel, questions or during the game show, the questions will be sent to the Telegram chat. And then after that, you can vote which answer you think is better. And this is, of course, the finalist model. And based on your voting, then points is being awarded to the finalists. All right. So this is how for the virtual leaderboard, there's no human review element. But for the finale, there's a human review element. We should take out a big chunk of the finale score. All right. So with that in mind, let me do a demo for doing self-evaluation. Again, I want to say that this is purely optional, so you can choose to do it or not to do it, right? And if you choose to do it, you take out some time from your training hours, all right, just to prevent abuse, all right? So let me show you how you can do that. This also is in our guide, by the way. So let me go into Jumpstart. If you go into, let's see, model. Okay, so earlier, if I go into my model, let's see, where's my model? So one way is that you can deploy a model. When you deploy a model, after you deploy a model, where's my model? Over here. Oh, okay, I think this one I have an error. I better check what's the error. Maybe it's the parameter, right? But basically, once you have a model that's completed, let's say the one that's first created. So if I click on this, you can see that there's a deploy button. So I can click on deploy button. If I deploy a button, I can just click accept, and then again, you can give it a name. I can say Team 0, Vincent, test, endpoint, right? Then you can select G52X. This is the only one that is available, right? So it's Team 0, Vincent, testing, right? So once you click on that, you can click on deploy. So once you deploy out, basically your endpoint will be ready to be deployed. And it takes about 10 minutes to deploy it, right? So after you deploy it, just now before the session, I already created an endpoint. You can see that I have one that's ready over here. So you can see over here, this is the one that I already deployed. Once it's deployed, you'll see that it's in service. You can click on test inference. So you can see over here, you can basically have a chat with your model. So this is the model. You can send, for example, a request to your model. And then you can see that what is the response that comes back from your model. So essentially, you can spin out your model through an endpoint, and then you can have a conversation with your model to see how your model is performing after you perform tuning. Okay. Each time you deploy this endpoint for evaluation, your endpoint will be alive for 1 hour. And what's going to happen is that after 1 hour, this endpoint will be taken down, right? So in that 1 hour, you can have a conversation with your model. You can also run model evaluation, right? So you can run this thing. Next thing is that you can also run model evaluation. Now, model evaluation, if you want to do it much more so over here, I've done one earlier. So how to do model evaluation? You can click on evaluate a model. And then from there, I give my model a name, say Team 0, Vincent, Model 1 evaluation, right? So I can click next. Then after that, I can select the model that I want to evaluate. Again, now there's no coding, it's all just clicking, right? So I click add model. So I can add the model that I want to evaluate. So I can pick the one over here. So this one is I'm still deploying, so I can't evaluate. But once it's ready to be evaluated, you can click on this. You can click on essentially save. So my model will be loaded for evaluation, which is this Llama 3 Vincent model. I can then give it a task type. So for LOL, we're competing on question and answering. So you click on this and select Q&A, right? And then after that over here, and then over here, you want to use your own data set. So again, for your evaluation data set, we have already provided a sample. So for your first one, you can use the one that you provided. So the sample is here. Let me just check. What is the sample data set? This is also inside your guide. Let me just copy this over here, right? So yes, evaluation. Okay. So this should be inside your, and after that, this is the first. This is everyone will have access to this, and then you can. So there will be this thing called toxicity and semantic. You can remove it because you don't need this one for evaluation. You only need accuracy. After you have this, you then select the bucket that you want to save your evaluation. For this one, this is where remember your team's bucket over earlier. So over here, this is my group source bucket, right? Vincent. So I can click on this one. I can save where is the folder where I want to save it. So I can click on this, save the URL to the S3 bucket. I then basically go back to here. Over here, I can point it there. I can then basically click on next. And then once it's done, I can then basically click on create. So once I do that, basically what's going to happen behind the scene is that the training evaluation will start. This will take a while. This will take about 5 minutes. Basically what happens is that your model will be checked against the evaluation data set. Once it's done, what you can see is that you see this thing called completed. And if I go inside over here, and you can see that it's completed 6 minutes, you can see that the score, this is my F1 score, not that fantastic. And then if I click on this, the result will be stored in your S3 bucket. So if I click on S3 URI, you can see that if I click on this, it will bring me to my evaluation data set. And you can see all these files. Now, there's a lot of files, but the only thing that you want to pay attention to is just this one, the PDF file. So I can download it down. Once I download it down, you can see that if I open it, this was my model, right? And then you can see that what is my score? Not that good. 1 is the maximum, so I got like 19%. So how is being scored? You can see this is my. Are there any initiative or programs to promote lifelong learning? And this is my model answer. This is the target answer, and you can see that this is my F1 score, and then this is my F1 score, and then for every question, the F1 score will be generated and then added together to calculate the final F1 score. So this is a way that you can use to have a deeper look on how your model is performing. But just like I did Racer last year, evaluation is an optional piece. So you can choose to evaluate or not to evaluate. Every time you deploy your model for evaluation, you'll minus 10 minutes from your 30 hours. All right. So I just call every time you deploy a model for evaluation, 10 minutes will be deducted away. All right. And when it comes to training job, you'll be deducted based on, of course, how long your training job run. If it runs for 6 minutes, then then essentially 6 minutes will be deducted. All right. So with that in mind, let's go back to the last part of the slide. Let me just go back to the slide over here. So we have touched base on all 3 things about how you can create data set, how you can go into your console, how you can train the model. After you train the model, you can go to LL console to register the model and then to submit the model to a leaderboard. And we also touched on the evaluation piece, which is an optional piece. So it's something that if you want to evaluate, this is an optional option for you to do so if you want to get a deeper insight on how your model is performing. Okay, so in conclusion, okay, I've talked a lot, right? But in conclusion, this is where it comes to a kind of like a wrap up, right? For the workshop part before I hand back to Akasha, Kwan, and Ashwin, right? So the next step is that you want to, from now, and I'm not sure in the respective group how many times you set aside by lecturers, but you want to basically continue to finish up at least go through the PDF ideally at least one time, right? So experience tuning, evaluating, and submitting the first model to a LOL competition. Once you've done that, you can then, from now all the way until 3rd September, I believe it's 11 p.m., you can then subsequently train with a different set of data, hyperparameters, submit your model to a leaderboard, achieve better rankings. And then on the 3rd September, we'll cut off, and then you select the top 5 finalists. The top 5 finalists will then battle it out, right, during the 23rd physical game show, during the grand finale for the low championship. All right. And final notes, when you are preparing your data set for tuning, ideally, every data set should not be more than 300 words. You can go beyond 300 words, but I just want to say that when your model answer your answer is being generated, we'll cut off at 300 words. If your model generates answer more than 300 words, we'll cut it up, we'll truncate it, because otherwise it becomes too long. It will not be fair, right? So it's like when you submit exam paper, right? There's a word limit. So each of the data set ideally should be about 300 words at maximum. Okay. And again, you are given 30 hours, the deadline. And then we have a team leaders. I think it's a WhatsApp channel. It's not a Telegram for everyone. We have a WhatsApp channel for everybody, right? For team leader, for deeper issues. But the support chat on the Telegram side, you can also ask questions, and we'll support on a best effort basis. Because there's 1,000 of us, we won't be able to give real-time feedback. So, but we'll try to get back to any critical issues as far as we can, right, through the support channel. We'll also be arranging office hours together with the organizing team. So during the office hours, just a last minute racer, if you want to, you can join, and then we can have like a face-to-face like video consult over certain stipulated time that we can answer some more deeper queries. Okay, and I think that's it. Okay, so one thing is that the one thing that people will often ask, like, how do I track how much hours I have left? So we have a LOL training tracker that's tracking your hours. So the idea is that after you create your first job, this is also in your PDF, by the way. So when inside a PDF, you'll see the time tracker. And we'll put a hot link as well. We'll pin it on the Telegram chat. So the idea is that once you go inside here, you can see how much hours you have left and how many seconds you have left. Basically, these two are just the same thing, but this is seconds. So when you reach less than 0 seconds, you will not be able to train anymore. Your jobs will just be denied, right? So just to have a fair play that everyone can only train up to 30 hours, or the whole team as a whole. Okay. All right, with that's it. Thank you so much for your time. This is the most likely like a 3 hours kind of a workshop. Hope you enjoyed yourself. It's quite a bit. I want you to know that this is like we basically condense what typically can take weeks of training. We condense it all the way down to half a day, just so that you can appreciate fine-tuning at a high level. But the idea is that over the next 3 weeks, what we have seen is that we've seen bankers. We have done this with Techcombank, with bankers in Vietnam, in Singapore. We're running this in Canada. This is running in Global reInvent in Las Vegas this year as well. We've seen people who are from zero. They are at ground zero. No coding, no tuning background. But through the LOL program, they became expert in fine-tuning a model. So this is what the program can do for you if you invest time and energy into it, right? And over here, me, Kwan, Akasha, and Ashley, and the whole team, we are behind you. We want to provide you the best learning experience over the next 3 weeks as you begin to, of course, compete for the best prizes. And more importantly, learn about what is fine-tuning, learn about model evaluation, which is a very powerful technique in today's day and age where AI becomes very, very prevalent. So I'd like to ask, there's a quick survey, just kind of survey if you have just give us a feedback on how you feel, what you learn over doing the virtual segment in today's workshop. All right, and if you want to stay connected, if you want to reach out directly, of course, there's a Telegram chat, there's a WhatsApp chat. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. All right, we're happy to take any questions, connect with you after the call and over the next 3 weeks to support you in your LOL competition. And that's it. I will pass back to my awesome panel over at the POLYCC HQ, right? So Ashin, Akasha, and Kwan, over back to you.
Thank you so much. Terima kasih kepada pihak Vincent, Encik Vincent di atas training dan sharing yang diberikan untuk 3 jam. Jadi panjang sekali ya. Ada banyak tips yang dibagikan oleh pihak Vincent, tadi Akasha dengan Puan pun bagi banyak tips juga. Jadi untuk pertandingan LL ni, jadi jangan lupa untuk cek tengok balik apa PDF yang di-share. Jadi go through all the content dalam PDF tu. Jadi at least you try pertama kali, lepas tu try lagi banyak kali sebab ada 30 jam yang diberikan untuk setiap orang kan. Jadi banyak chance untuk kita boleh submit dan train model yang untuk LOL ini. Jadi tanpa melengahkan masa, saya akan pass the floor back to pihak Kashat. Ada pengumuman yang sangat penting sekali dan mendebarkan juga.
Mendebarkan keyword tu.
Terutama sekali saya nak ucapkan pada Mr. Vincent for his explanation, very detailed explanation for 3 hours. So on my part, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih dan penghargaan kepada pihak AWS kerana memberi peluang ini untuk melaksanakan pertandingan generative AI yang pertama, dan juga bagi pihak JPKK, BIPD, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada peserta yang kata memberi sokongan daripada pukul 10 pagi tadi, walaupun kita ada technical hiccups ya, di mana kita kena sambung balik dengan link kedua, dan saya tengok masih lagi menonton, dan saya harap semua terus menonton sebab YouTube ni dia automatic dah record, nanti kita boleh rujuk dia pada bila-bila masa. So mungkin pada waktu malam ke atau time-time nak tidur boleh kita tengok dululah YouTube rakaman YouTube ni, okey, untuk fahamkan. Jadi kalau tak faham jangan risau, seperti mana Mr. Vincent pun, Puan dan Ashwin pun bagi tahu, kita ada WhatsApp group untuk syarah, Telegram untuk student, dan juga kita akan ada satu lagi sesi online iaitu pada minggu depan 20 hari bulan pukul 10 pagi bersama dengan tim yang sama. Jadi kita akan membantu dan akan teruskan supaya kita di pihak warga POLYCC boleh memahamilah dan membina satu otak LLM tu yang di belakang GPT tu. So kita mungkin boleh create satu chatbot lah, berdasarkan tema yang telah diberikan. Jadi untuk sebelum kita bersurai, sebelum kita pergi makan lunch dulu kan, so saya nak share dulu sikit skrin saya ni. Share now. Okay. Share now. Okay. So saya pun boleh nampak boleh nampak KT? Boleh? Okay. So KT boleh nampak, maksudnya yang tukang itulah behind the scene ya. Jadi untuk last kali saya ada pengumuman penting lah, maksudnya kita ada untuk finalis kita ada hadiah. Untuk yang tempat pertama kita ada 3,000, kedua 2,000, ketiga 1,000 dan sagu hati 500. Dan maksudnya di final nanti kita ada 5 ataupun 6 kumpulan. So macam Puan dan Ashwin cakap, kalau kita nak menang ke peringkat finalis ataupun nak menang gol, kita kena berusaha lebih lah untuk explore benda ni. Dan kalau tak menang tak apa, tapi at least kita di warga POLYCC boleh orang kata banggalah kita dapat ilmu ni. Ilmu ni mahal ni. Jadi mungkin ia akan berguna pada pelajar bila nanti dah tamat, dah graduate, mungkin boleh join disebabkan boleh tahu apa menggunakan konsol ni, ataupun boleh jadi satu data scientist, ataupun mungkin jadi apa orang kata buat sharing kat TikTok ke kan, macam mana nak guna buat YouTube ke kan. So dan dengan ini saya mewakililah pengarah BIPD iaitu Yang Mulia Tengku Basarudin Shah bin Tengku Yaakob. Jadi saya melancarkan pertandingan Pertandingan POLYCC LOL 2024 Peringkat Saringan, iaitu bermula pada hari ini 13 Ogos sehingga 3 September. So dengan itu sekian saja daripada saya. Terima kasih kepada semua yang menonton dan terima kasih juga kepada yang akan menonton. Yang akan menonton rakaman ini. Jadi jangan lupa tips-tips tu ada di part 2. So jangan lupa share. Tips tu penting tu.
Betul.
Cheat code. Share dan like dan subscribe. Okey, itu saja daripada saya. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera.
Hey Vincent, thanks a lot.
Are we off already?
Yeah, we are good. All right.
Okay. How's it? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That was- We have, I think Akasha got a lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions from login to until the end. So we have recorded this video through Google Meet. So
Yes.
as I mentioned earlier, we have a team to chunk the information so that this can be
Stream.
can be shared.
Yeah. So the resources will be shared to the audiences, and the audiences will take time to review it, because some of the students are classes, so they will take time to digest the information.
Yeah.
And we'll anticipate more and more questions, because just now his phone, I was looking at his phone, there were a lot of questions popped up in their WhatsApp channel.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely reconvene and see what are the answers or what are the help we can offer them. Moving forward, there are two things that we need to just confirm about the timing for the
We're probably not stopping live. Let me call my technical. Apparently we are not still live. Okay.
Oh.
So
okay, interesting.
so it's okay. Later we can edit this part.
Boleh
off. So that's okay. That's okay. Maybe
The next item we will
penonton boleh dapat rupanya ada ni strategi rupanya. So that's our strategy to